In my hand today I have two coffees, both from the same roaster, both from the same country, even both from the same plot, but both very different. Welcome to coffeewithgpa.com. So this time round we have a pair of twins that have both got very, very different characteristics. On one hand, I have my El Salvador Los Nogales El Roble washed process. On the other hand, El Salvador Los Nogales El Roble natural process. Both beans with very, very similar upbringings, but two very different tastes. So what actually causes these tastes to be very different? Well, if we take a closer look at our beans, we can actually see that the beans themselves are both of a similar sort of size, but we can see that the colour differences are there. So with our washed process, we actually have a slightly lighter, more matte looking bean. But with our natural process, we actually have a slightly darker looking roast on those. Now, Horsham Coffee Roaster are notorious for making exceptionally well-rounded cups of coffee. The thing I love the most about this as a company is the fact that every time you grab a bag of their beans, you almost get that very subtle, luxurious feeling. Now, I do like that in specialty coffee. I love the fact that it's the whole package and experience that is really exciting. Horsham get this right every single time, and I've never been disappointed with any of their beans that I've purchased in previous times. Now, we did a review for the Rwanda Gishitta earlier in the year, and when I had an opportunity to review these new beans, it was quite an exciting feeling. Now, let's have a little look to see what we can expect from these. So, from our natural process coffee, we have three flavour notes that we can look into. Blueberry, we have Parma violets, which is an interesting one, a bit of a new one to me, and fig. On the other hand, we have our washed process beans. The three notes we can expect to find here are apples, caramel, and muscovado sugar. But let's just see what we actually get in the bag itself. Now, first of all, for our natural process beans, now this is really where you get that blueberry and those fig flavours, and perhaps the sweetness of the candy there from the Parma violets. To open up the bag is an experience in itself, and I remember doing this for the first time when the beans first came in, and it was just absolutely glorious. I do really appreciate that first smell. I think it's a trademark of any good roast. When you get something that you enjoy going back to again and again, and it still fills you with excitement every time you get to try it. It's just super sweet, super sweet. It smells so good. Let's compare that again with the wash process. So, on these ones, again, we're thinking about potentially a bit more fruity sweetness, perhaps some savoury notes in there. It smells completely different. It's so bizarre. The overwhelming flavour I get on that is more of an apple crumble again. You know, we mentioned this earlier on. The apple crumble feel is that kind of subtle sweetness from a sugary base, like a sugary crumble top, but with the stewed apple smell underneath. And definitely a back note of the caramel, you do get that. It's really nice. The actual fragrance from the bags, I really enjoy. And I think this is something that has almost become like a bit of a litmus test. A way for me to work out whether I'm going to enjoy a coffee or not is to work out what the fragrances are when I first open the bag. And actually both of these coffees just smell absolutely divine. In particular, I think the natural one smells great when you open that. Get yourself a bag and you'll see exactly what I mean. So colour-wise, a lovely sort of golden caramel colour and a very, very clean cup. Now, this is one of the things about the beans that they've produced from this particular estate. They are designed to give a very clean finish. So in some instances you might find an espresso a little bit overpowering, perhaps a little bit overkill at times. But when you look at this, you know it's going to go down smooth as you like. So this will be a really great one if you are looking for perhaps a nice well-rounded drink throughout the day. I like this first thing in the morning. So normally I would open up the bag, I would explain the smells and everything that we get, but I've actually taken my time over this one, and I've been trying them one against the other for the last couple of days. It's actually been quite tough. You can never narrow down a favourite once you've had an opportunity to try two exceptional coffees. But let's just see what we get on the taste. So this is definitely more of a fruity flavour. If you imagine breaking open a fig, that very subtle sweetness with a well-rounded, almost savoury feel as well is definitely there. It smells really nice. So, how does that compare with the actual taste? Now, the thing that I really enjoy about this, it's just an enjoyable coffee. You know, I feel really relaxed talking about it because every time I've had the chance to try this throughout the last few days, again and again, you just get all of the flavour in the first hit. You don't get a great deal of bitterness either, which I really appreciate. And it's just so... I guess one of the things that I like about doing these reviews as well is the fact that you get to have a coffee shop experience in the comfort of your own home. I'm a big believer that should be a really big priority when you are looking to buy a good coffee. And this reminds me of the sort of coffee that you would get if you go and grab yourself a drink throughout the day. Every coffee shop that I've gone to that sold these beans, that served these beans, it's the same thing. And I absolutely get why you would go and grab a bag of these at every opportunity, because it's just so enjoyable. And you really can enjoy that again and again and again. The predominant flavour very much is fig on that one. So, next up we have our wash process one. So these are double washed over 2 periods of 10 to 12 hours. Now, because they're washed, you do get a very different flavour. Certainly a lot more savoury and perhaps a touch more earthy on the very top when you try and give that a first inhale, as it were. And it does smell very earthy. I think that's probably the predominant thing you get on the back of your nose. It really feels like it's almost been born of the earth. It's that strong. It's really good. And those flavours are so much more subtly sweet and savoury at the same time. Now, I think in terms of those flavour notes, the muscovado sugar, yeah, absolutely. So when you compare muscovado sugar to that of perhaps refined sugar, I don't know if that's a good equivalent or not, but refined sugar is very, very kind of sweet all in one hit. But this is just, on the palate, really nice, really smooth, and gives you just a light, fragrant sweetness as you go along with it. It's fantastic. And again, super, super clean with a lovely caramel finish. It's just a really enjoyable combination. Now, I guess this is the difficult part. I have my natural and I have my washed processed coffees. Both of them will look very similar. Both of them will perhaps smell fairly similar. So what was my favourite? Well, after trying these again and again and again and again, continually again and again, I feel like for me, my favourite was the natural process. And I think that's just become part and parcel of the refinement of your taste buds over time. The reason I like this is that overwhelming kick of fig in the very first instance. For me, that's a just incredible feeling, incredible experience, and a really enjoyable one through and through. Horsham Coffee Roaster have done it again. Absolutely incredible beans, clean as you like, and they're just so smooth. The bottom of the cup just doesn't have any residue in it whatsoever. Really enjoyable. So, if you like the sound of these beans, check out coffeewithgpa.com and grab yourself a bag of these now while they're still around. This has been another coffee review with coffeewithgpa.com. Join us next time for another review with Crankhouse Coffee, and we're going to be reviewing 3 individual coffees from 3 very different regions, but some very unexpected results. I look forward to seeing you again very soon. Take care.